Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Legacy. Today we're looking at White Stompy. White Stompy is a mono-white creature-focused deck and is traditionally somewhere between a prison deck and a value-based mid-range deck. Unlike D&T, which is more about trickiness using Aether Vial, Karakas, and so on, White Stompy abuses fast mana to quickly power out bigger Staxy or value creatures. Ancient Tomb and City of Traders are the sole lands that provide 2 mana, while Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond, and/or Lotus Petal make white. The 3-mana white creatures, specifically those that have a single white pip in their cost and so are easier to cast with Tomb and City, feel a lot more powerful and less fair when they're pumped out on turn 1 or 2. Some examples of good candidates include Archon of Emeria, Anointed Peacekeeper, Elite Spellbinder, Thalia Heretic Cathar, and Palace Jailer. The deck has come in a variety of flavors over the years. For example, Preeminent Captain was used in the Soldier Stompy deck to cheat out big soldiers like Captain of the Watch. Currently, the flavor of the month is Initiative Stompy, enabled by White Plume Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer from the Commander Legends Baldur's Gate expansion. Before getting to each of their second abilities, the main reason to play these cards is because when they enter the battlefield, you take the initiative. The initiative is an effect similar to the Monarch. It exists as an ongoing effect that can't be interacted with except by stealing it via attacking and successfully dealing combat damage to the player who currently has the initiative. When a player first takes the initiative, or at the beginning of every upkeep of the player who currently has the initiative, they venture into the Undercity, a dungeon with these effects. The first effect is to search for a basic land and put it into your hand. From there, you can go down multiple paths, but the best one is usually the left-hand side of putting 2/1 counters on a creature, then making the opponent lose 5 life, then drawing a card, and then finally completing the dungeon, although by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th effect, you've probably effectively won the game. Therefore, like the Monarch, the cards that let you take the initiative generate an advantage that's hard to overcome, especially for decks that play few creatures. Here's an example. You use your fast mana to play White Plume Adventurer on turn 1, which fetches a plains, therefore ensuring you continue to advance on mana as the game progresses. On the following upkeep, you venture into the Undercity again, putting 2/1 counters on White Plume, making it a 5/5 attacker. This is followed by your opponent losing 5 life, putting a lot of pressure on them. Then, even if they can interact to stem the bleeding, Undercity draws you a card and you pull further ahead. Getting back to the second abilities of the initiative duo, White Plume Adventurer untapping a creature, basically giving something pseudo-vigilance, is just okay, although ensuring you always have a blocker is good to protect the initiative. The alternate part requires that you've completed a dungeon, which is unlikely. Seasoned Dungeoneer, on the other hand, gives a creature protection from creatures, making it unblockable, and Explores, which either draws a land off the top or permanently enhances the creature and filters your draw. The creature you choose is restricted to one of 4 specific types, but Dungeoneer itself is one of them, as are many other creatures in the deck. For example, White Plume Adventurer, Elite Spellbinder, Anointed Peacekeeper, Aethersworn Canonist, and Containment Priest are all clerics, and Aven Mind Sensor is a wizard. Aside from all that, the deck plays a number of removal spells, including Swords to Plowshares and Solitude and Touch the Spirit Realm, which are more castable given the deck's abundant fast mana. Touch the Spirit Realm also has its secondary channel ability that blinks creatures, which can be used for various means that I'll bring up in the tips and tricks section. The sideboard can be tailored to the metagame and is the usual Staxy white mix of Rest in Peace, Chalice of the Void, and so on. Tips and tricks. Touch the Spirit Realm's secondary channel ability flickers creatures and artifacts, which has a ton of uses. Also notably, the card flickered comes back at the end step, not immediately. Here are some highlights. You can save one of your own creatures from removal or sweepers. You can re-trigger your own enter the battlefield effects from cards like Solitude, Elite Spellbinder, Palace Jailer, and in particular, White Plume Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer to venture into the Undercity or retake the initiative if you've lost it. You can save an evoked Solitude. You can temporarily exile troublesome permanents to do things like attack through Ensnaring Bridge, stop a sneak attacked creature from hitting you, or prevent the Painter Servant Grindstone combo by exiling Painter in response to Grindstone being activated. You can permanently kill tokens like Merit Lage or Karnstructs. You can reset the counters on things like Aether Vial or Murktide Regent and unflip Delver. You can reset certain artifacts like an opposing Mox Diamond or Chrome Mox to force the opponent to pay their costs again or have them rendered useless. When combined with Containment Priest, the effect permanently exiles a creature. You can change which card is being named by cards like Anointed Peacekeeper and Phyrexian Revoker. Keep in mind an odd quirk of Anointed Peacekeeper, which is that while the spell tax is asymmetrical, meaning it only affects your opponent, The ability tax affects both players, meaning it may affect you as well if you name something that's also in your deck, like Walking Ballista. While Lauren in the sideboard is mostly for dealing with artifacts and enchantments, its mutual draw ability should also be taken into account. For example, you can kill a Doomsday Thassa's Oracle player if they go down to 0 cards in library. If you're playing Spirit of the Labyrinth, you can break the parity of Lauren's draw ability by activating it during your opponent's turn. You can bounce Lauren with Karakas to repeatedly destroy artifacts and enchantments. Keep in mind what creature types your cards are when choosing for Cavern of Souls. You'll usually want to name either a creature type that's already in your hand, especially if you need the white mana, or the type of whichever creature is the most important in the matchup. Alternatively, if you need to name something in the blind, for example, keep in mind which types have the most overlap amongst your creatures. Hint, they're human and cleric. I hope you've enjoyed this look at White Stompy. My thanks to the community for their assistance with these decks. You can find additional resources in the description. If you think I got something wrong, please share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy these videos, consider supporting the channel, and take care.